to extend the school day by 30 minutes to allow students more teaching time and learning time have in fact been postponed amid reports of a Whitehall row over the multi-billion-pound cost of it.
The proposals to help children make up for time lost during the pandemic are currently being reviewed. So, would lengthening the school day by an effective catch-up strategy or a waste of time and money?
I don't think longer school hours is the right thing to do. I already think that a 9 till 3:30 day is long enough.
They've got to catch up on the time that they've lost, haven't they? So they need to do that because they've been working from home, but they're not going to get the same level of education as they do at home.
I think it is good to give them more hours.
Yeah, and make it an invitation as well. I mean, not everybody should be made to come to extra classes.
Well, joining us now in the studio is a student and youth MP for Leicestershire. That's right, isn't it, Dev Sharma? Who says that extending the school day is the way forward. We're going to talk to you. You've been doing your GCSEs and you're already learning a bit more, aren't you, each day? You're having an extra hour each day, I think. And we've also got head teacher Serge Sefai, who you'll know has been on the programme many times, who says the proposal actually hasn't been thought through. Morning to you, Serge. And we also have Rosie Millard, who you'll know. And Rosie, you support a longer day. Well, let's speak to Dev first, of course, because it's all about you. It's about you're a youth MP, so you spend your time outside of school thinking about what's better for young people. What's your situation at the moment in terms of doing your GCSEs and are you doing an extra hour a day and how that's affecting everything?
Yeah, so I'm a year 11 pupil doing my GCSEs this past year. And I remember when the pandemic hit, I was scared. It was all muddled up. We didn't really understand what's happening. We didn't really get any guidance with what our exams, how we were going to sit our exams till recently. And I remember it all being a mess. A lot of students my age, a lot of my friends, we were concerned about how we're going to be sitting these exams, about we've missed a year's worth of content, how are we supposed to catch up? So, of course, there were changes to how we were examined this year. But if you look throughout the country and you look at kids all the way from ages of 5 up to GCSE, they've missed out on so much learning. We missed out on a year's worth of learning. And of course, as you said, I'm the youth MP for Leicestershire. So I speak to kids, children my age, young people, parents and teachers daily on a regular basis. I remember speaking to a tuition teacher and she said at her centre, this is previous to COVID, there used to be young people coming in, sitting their GCSEs with a maths ability of a year 7, and that's pre-pandemic. And
so the education gap is already quite huge, you're saying.
Yeah, and we know that the inequality in education was massive, and what COVID's done is it's only exacerbated that. And this is why we seriously need government policies to intervene and make sure that we actually protect children's education, that we are ring-fencing funding. We're actually giving policy and putting policy there to make sure children catch up.
So the extra half hour a day, you think would be really beneficial for particularly those young people?
100%. So with my school in Leicester, we actually, they came up with an idea to do an extra hour. So instead of the 9 to 3, we do 9 to 4. And that was when we started in September for year 11. It was well supported by parents. And I remember at the start when speaking to my friends, they were like, how's an extra hour going to help? It's not really going to have any impact. But when I look at it now, whilst I'm doing my exams, I know that extra hour was helpful. It was really helpful. It changed. I had more quality teaching time with my teachers, face-to-face. I was able to catch up in a significant way. And I really wish that children all across the country get that benefit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's speak to Serge Sefai, as a head teacher. Serge, you've got experience of working in schools. It seems that, what Deb is saying, that this would be very helpful and it will allow pupils to catch up. Do you think an extra half hour, an hour at the end of the day will make all the difference?
I think you should listen to Dev because he's already telling everybody it's already going on. In good schools, of course, we've got a huge intervention programme goes on, especially for year 11 and year 13. But added to that, we've already got, again, in good schools, a fantastic extracurricular activities that go on, whether it be sports, drama, debating, chess, you name it. Where does homework fit in with this? And another thing, and well done to the young man. He's expressed himself really well, but he's used the word mess. Let's think this through. I quite like part of the announcement, which talks about quality. Quality is key, but I would personally add a couple of more T's if they want to talk about T's. These This money needs to be targeted. We need to assess the children. And I'm sure, Dev, the reason you're getting stuff done after school is that your teacher knows exactly what you've missed, exactly what needs to be done, and you all therefore think it's worthwhile. And the last T, let's talk about transparency. How is this going to work? We're just about to start writing timetables for September. We've got a summer programme put in with the extra money that we've already received. So let's think it through. Nothing wrong with extra time. Teachers will gladly give it if they think it's worthwhile. But let's not have another mess. And from what Ranveer's just saying, it sounds like there's already a bit of a mess going on in Whitehall.
Well, I can't tell. Are you not sure about this extra half hour, which was going to be announced but now isn't, because we understand it's reported that Rishi Sunak and the Treasury say it's just a bit too expensive. It's billions and they don't want to spend it yet. Do you think... would it in principle be a good idea, and would teachers be up for it?
In principle, any money coming into schools to be used by the head teacher who knows what the needs of the children are through his teachers is a good idea. What I don't want to do is give a get out of jail free card for politicians again to just say, we chucked a bit of money at it, get on with it. We've had it all the way through the pandemic. I know it's been very difficult, but it has to be targeted. Children who have been disproportionately affected, you know, depending on their backgrounds, etc., in their schools. But it needs to be thought through. We need to have time to prepare. But how much money are we getting? Is it going to happen now? Or will this be another 24 hours announcement like all the different things we've had before, and the madness of cancelling examinations once again without a backup plan? So I'm worried, because I'm really quite frightened that once again we're going to end up with a mishmash of nonsense, and then the politicians will turn around to say, well, we gave you the money.
Rosie, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you've heard two slightly opposing views there. Everybody wants the best for the children. But on the one hand, just the idea of a blanket half hour at the end of the day, do what you will, Serge is saying that isn't actually going to solve the problem of education lag. It's just not going to do it. As a parent, you've got 4 children, I think, 3. Maybe I've given you an extra one there. What do you think of it? As a parent, would you gladly have your children stay at school for an extra hour at the end of the day?
Yes, I absolutely would. I think children have been the real casualty of this. And Sir Peter Lample at the Education Foundation has said that small children will take years to recover from COVID. Dev is absolutely right. Children have really, you know, they've missed something like 24 weeks have been disrupted this year at schools. 90,000 children are starting secondary school illiterate this year, and the education gap between the disadvantaged and the advantaged children is widening. And I think Serge is right to caution against having a mess. The mess is that actually what was recommended was £15 billion of investment into schools, which would increase the school day. What is being suggested is the government is giving £1.5 billion. So it's reduced the money to children who really need it. Children across the board have suffered. They've reduced the money by a 10th. And on top of this is when universities are also having a cut for arts education. I think university students have really suffered as well. Their teaching hours have been grotesquely reduced. And students have been getting a fraction of what normally would happen at university.
All right,
I mean, schools also, after-school clubs, orchestras, sport, all of that has been cut.
Rosie, thank you. I just want to pick up on something very quickly. We're running out of time, but just very quickly, a few people on Twitter and emailed us and got in touch. A few suggestions. Billy on Twitter, I think John on Twitter, and also Susan, all suggesting that, what about the suggestion of reducing the summer holidays this year? I mean, what's the practicalities of something like that, Serge? Could you reduce the 6 weeks holidays to 4, maybe? I mean, I know there'll be issues with teachers, etc., but is that even a remote possibility?
Well, we've already got 3 weeks of summer school going on for 4-year groups at my school.
OK, but I mean, not every school applies that. But if there was a national policy, then all schools would do it. And I know, I appreciate some schools probably already do that, but not every school does.
Well, ultimately, quality is key. You know, if there's no resentment involved, if everyone's in school and the parents haven't taken their children on holiday, you know, then why not? If it made sure that any gaps were filled, but you know, we're already in June, so you tell me how that's going to be implemented.
It's kind of compulsory.
And before we go, Dev, just a final word to you, obviously. You know, the idea of having an extra hour at the end of the day, as Rosie was saying there, is it for all the extracurricular stuff, if it were to come in, you know, all the other sorts of socialising, the drama, all the sports that's been... Or do you think it should only be for academic progress?
I think...
Just briefly, because...
When the policy was announced, I think it was up to the school's discretion if they wanted to do arts and creativity or if they wanted to do extra learning.
Tutoring, essentially.
And I think as a class and as a teacher knows what's best for her class, or for his or her class, sorry, I think they know that their class has lost out on this much learning. This is their gap. Let's focus on there. Pre-pandemic, the UK always focused on extracurricular. It was an imperative part of young people's lives. I think Saturday after school football, for like boys my age, is just part of British culture. We need to bring that back. And this extra time would allow for either extracurricular and give those type of allow young people to use the extra side of their brain, which has been dormant for so long, or give them extra time, which whatever the teacher thinks best.
Yeah, well, as we say, it's still under review, this. It was meant to be announced today, but of course, as we've outlined there, that the money just isn't quite there yet. We'll ask Gavin Williamson why that is in about an hour's time. But you've been voting in our Twitter poll. We asked you, should the school day be extended? 40% said yes, the day should be longer. 60% said no.
Thank you to our guests. Thank you, Dev, for coming in. Thank you, Serge, and thank you, Rosie, as well this morning.